Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the Samsung S21 Ultra 5G. So I thought we'd unbox this as well as some of the accessories that came with it here that I was able to get for free with pre-order. So the Galaxy Buds Pro, the SmartTag, and a fast charger. So we'll open those up a little bit later, but this is the S21 Ultra 5G. Now this comes in $200 cheaper or so than last year, and that means it starts at $1,199 and goes up to $1,379 depending on which variant you picked up. You have 128, 256, or 512 gigabytes of storage that is not expandable this year. Now you have 5 different color options this year: Phantom Black, Phantom Silver, Phantom Titanium, Phantom Navy, and Phantom Brown. The last 3 of which you actually have to special order, and they look a little bit different around the camera. So let's go ahead and open this up. So we'll take the unboxing knife here. We'll cut the tape on the back, carefully, of course. There we go. I think I've got it. There we go. And let's go ahead and open this. Now, they did not include a charger this year, so we have a little bit thinner box. But the interesting thing is, if you want the fast charger box is actually bigger, and it's just sort of loose in there. So I'm not sure why they did that, but hopefully they'll put it in smaller packaging a little bit later. So let's go ahead and open this up. And this is the box this year. So we've got a little piece of paper on the top. Here's the phone itself. So this is the Phantom Black color. So we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. And then in the box, we've got, well, I guess just this little box. On the back, you have a SIM card removal tool. No case or anything with it, at least in the United States. You've got a little bit of paperwork. So it says S21 5G, 21 Plus, and 21 Ultra. So those are the 3 models they just released. And then little extra information about it. And then we have a charging cable here. So it looks like we've got a USB-C to USB-C adapter. So the cable comes in the box, but no charger, like I said. Now, I was able to get a free charger with pre-order. They gave you credit towards a SmartTag, for example, and the Galaxy Bud Pro. So I was able to get that free, which is nice. So I'm glad they did that. So we'll set this aside and we'll take a closer look at the phone. And so here's the phone itself. On the back, let's peel the cover off. We've got a cover on the back, then a cover over the camera bump. And then we've got a cover on the front as well. So that's everything around the phone. Now this phone is made out of aluminum and it has glass front and back. This is a frosted glass on the back. You've got Gorilla Glass Victus on the front, which should be nice and durable. Now let's go around the outside of the phone and then we'll talk about the specs. So we do have a wrapper that goes all the way around the phone as far as plastic, and I'll take that off in a little bit. But on the top, you can see we've got dual microphones here. On the right-hand side, you've got a volume button as well as a power sleep-wake button. On the bottom, we have a SIM card tray, a microphone, USB-C, and then a speaker. And so no dual speakers on the bottom or microphones that are symmetrical or anything, just like last year. And then we have nothing on the left-hand side. And like I said, this is an aluminum frame. It feels fairly heavy as well. On the back, it's got that nice frosted matte black glass and the camera module up at the top that looks a little bit different and protrudes out of it a little bit. So let me go ahead and remove this wrapper on the top here, all the way around the phone. You see if I can find an edge of it. There we go. You've got sticky tape or wrapper. They do this often on all of their phones to sort of protect the edge while they're shipping. There we go. There's one more piece right here. There. Now you can see it's got a glossy edge, matte black on the back, matte or gloss on the front with the screen. And then, of course, you do have those other color options as well. Now let's go ahead and talk about the specs of the phone, and then we'll boot it up and set it up and take a look at some of the accessories. So this has a Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 in it, along with an Adreno 660 GPU. Depending on the variant you buy, you actually get 12 or 16 gigs of RAM. The 16 gigabyte option comes with the 512 gigabytes of storage. This is the 128 gigabyte option. You also have an Exynos 2100 CPU outside of the United States, so it varies again depending on where you live. On the front, we have a 6.8-inch display with 1440 by 3200 pixels with 515 pixels per inch. It's a 120 Hz display, but this year can ramp down to 10 Hz or back up to 120 to save power. It also has a peak brightness of 1500 nits and supports the S Pen. You would need a separate case to carry it in as well, as there's no charging port in the bottom like there is with the Note. It also has 5G with millimeter wave and sub-6, along with Wi-Fi 802.11a, b, GN, AC, and the newer 6E, along with Bluetooth 5.2. Just like last year, it retains that huge 5,000 milliamp hour battery, and if you get the 25 watt adapter, you can fast charge this to 100% in about an hour, according to Samsung. You also have IP68 certification for 1.5 meters for 30 minutes, and now let's take a look at the cameras. On the front, we have a 40 megapixel f2.2 aperture camera that can record 4K 60. And then on the back, we have a little bit different cameras this year. So we have a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera with an f2.2 aperture, 108 megapixel wide angle lens with an f1.8 aperture, a 10 megapixel telephoto f2.4, which is about 3x zoom, as well as a 10 megapixel periscope zoom camera that's an f4.9 aperture. So you've got dual zoom, and then you also have 12-bit photos and supported up to 8K video at 24 frames per second. You can also take macro photos with this as well once you get really close to an object. This also has Android 11 in it with One UI 3, so it's got all sorts of new things in it. It's the latest flagship. Like I said, the phone does feel quite heavy. It's 222 grams or 7.83 ounces, so it is a fairly heavy phone, and it does seem to be balanced pretty well. If I put my finger in the middle, it seems to be well balanced, but it is quite large. Now, before we go ahead and turn it on and set it up, I wanted to show you a quick size comparison since this is such a giant phone, but compared to the Note 20 Ultra, it's actually a little bit shorter. So next to it, it seems ever so slightly shorter. And then as far as its overall width, it feels a little bit narrower. And so you can see it is a little bit narrower here. So if we bring it up, there we go. You can see that it's definitely a little bit narrower than the Note 20 Ultra. And it's also a little bit thicker, it seems, as well. So depending on which area you're looking at, the camera bump or not, it definitely feels thicker. Now, if you're an iPhone user, maybe you're looking to switch to an S21 Ultra, here's a 12 Pro Max next to it as well. So they're both very large phones. The S21 Ultra is a little bit narrower, though. So it feels a little narrower. You can see it there. And then the thickness is very comparable, although the S21 Ultra with its camera bump is definitely thicker. So you can see that here. So both very big phones. They look great. Let's go ahead and turn it on and get it set up. So let's go ahead and hit start. We'll have to agree to the terms and conditions. At least two of them. You can skip the diagnostic data if you want. Hit next. Then we'll connect to our Wi-Fi network, and then you can copy apps and data. I won't do this now. I'll do it a little bit later. They didn't include the adapter to allow me to easily do that from, say, the Note, for example. So I'll set that up a little bit later and copy everything over, but we'll just get it set up quickly so we can take a closer look. So we'll just hit next, go back, don't copy. Now, because I'm not copying my data, I'm just going to skip the sign in for now, but I'll do this a little bit later. But you'd normally sign into your Google account, and then it's asking you about Google services. I'll go ahead and just hit more. And now I'll need to set up the fingerprint. So this should have a bigger fingerprint sensor than last year, but we'll go ahead and hit continue. I'll put in a pin for now, or a pattern rather. Just do a Z. And then we'll have to set up the fingerprint sensor. So let's go ahead and do that. This definitely feels faster than setting up the fingerprint sensor on last year's phone. I haven't been a fan of the under-the-screen fingerprint sensors until the S20 Ultra, so that one seemed to get it right. It was much better, but it is a little bit sensitive compared to others I've used, but that seemed to be pretty fast. We'll go ahead and hit next, and it says getting your phone ready. Now it wants me to sign into a Samsung account. Again, I'll hit skip. I'll do it a little bit later. Of course, you want to sign into all those to get the most out of your device, but we'll go ahead and hit finish. And then here's the stock wallpaper. So we'll give it just a moment, and you'll hear that default sound. So let's see what we've got here. It wants to complete setup. It's doing all of those things. Let's swipe up. Now, one of the things this phone has that I think's great is if you swipe to the left here, you have Google. So if you're signed into Google, you now have the Google Now sort of setup that you've had for years on Pixel devices instead of Bixby, which I think is great. Also, this has a variable refresh rate display, like I said. And the nice thing this year is you don't have to lower the resolution in order to get that high frame rate as well with the higher hertz as far as 120. So it's super smooth. Let's go into the settings here and we'll go to display. And then under display, we've got motion smoothness, adaptive and standard. So it says get smoother animations and scrolling by automatically adjusting your screen refresh rate up to 120 hertz. It's on that by default. And then again, if we go down, you can see here's the resolution. Maybe I want it at the highest resolution. We'll hit apply. Last year when you did that, it would actually slow the screen refresh rate down. Now it won't do that. So you get 120 hertz at the highest refresh rate and the highest screen resolution at the same time. Now the disadvantage, of course, is it's going to use more battery, as it says here. So that's one of the new things that you get with this. So we'll tap and set up weather. We'll hit OK. Use our current location, let it set up the weather here. There we go. And we have some stock wallpapers that are nice. Now, of course, I'll link all of those wallpapers that I can find in the description below. But you can see here's the wallpapers that are included. You've got some nice ones. Some of them look very familiar from the older ones, but you've got some preloaded ones as well. So I think that's nice. I'll keep it a little bit darker on this one, and then we can enable that dark theme. Now, another thing, of course, is the camera. The camera on this should be phenomenal, that 4K and 8K capability. So we'll go into the camera. It's going to show you all the different modes. So you've got a ton of different modes here. You've got everything from AR Doodle to Pro to Panorama, food, night, portrait, and more. And like I said, you can use an S Pen with it as well. So I'm not sure how easily this works, but let's just remove it from, say, it just seems to work. So I removed it right out of the Note 20 Ultra and it looks like it works. So I can go into here, AR Doodle, and we can do a selfie doodle here. You can just write over whatever and it stays put. So you've got that ability. So you've got the selfie doodle ability, and it just seems to work. Now, you don't have anywhere to store the S Pen, but you do have the capability to use it. They do make a case aftermarket as well that you can use the pen with. So that's really nice. So you have those options. You don't get the air gestures. It's not Bluetooth connected and it doesn't self-charge. So you don't have that advantage, but at least you can use one if you really like the pen. Now let's go into the camera and take a closer look at those settings, and you'll see I'm already on video here. And if we go to the top, we should have our resolution. So you'll see we have full HD, go back in here, Ultra HD, and 8K 24 frames per second. So we have the option to do 8K if we want at 24 frames per second. And then we have a ton of different options as well. 4K at 60 frames per second. We also have a bunch of other options as well, such as AR Doodle, Pro, Panorama, Food, Portrait, Portrait Video, Pro Video, and more. And then, of course, under the photo mode, we have a ton of different zooms as well. So if I take the Note 20 Ultra, put it back here, of course, we can zoom in, zoom way in, 10x there. And then, of course, if we really want, we've got 100x, but that's not going to look very good considering how close we are. But at 30x, they do a pretty good job of actually handling that zoom. Now, of course, it's going to look much better when you're outside and you have a long distance and a lot of light as well. Now, when we're at the smaller zoom level, it's going to use one of two different cameras. So we have that zoom camera, and then we have a telephoto zoom that sort of periscopes in to get that. So we have that option, and of course, ultra wide as well. So we've got all of those options. So we'll just go back to normal here, take a photo, and this year's phone focuses with a laser. So we no longer have that issue where we had poor focus on the S20. This is nice sharp focus. It looks pretty good. Of course, I'll have to use the camera a bit more to get a better opinion about it, but it looks pretty good so far. The other thing I wanted to check with the camera is it can do macro supposedly. So if we get close to it, let's see what it'll do here. It should switch and give us a macro photo. Let's see what we can do here. It looks like we can get nice and close to that lens. So I love the macro capability. you'll see it there. So that's pretty interesting. We have all of that built into this, and it makes for quite the phone. It is quite warm right now as it's being set up as well. Now let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these accessories. Now the first thing is the wireless or the 25-watt super fast wall charger. It's kind of odd that they included it in this huge package, but let's go ahead and open this up. And it shouldn't be anything special. So let's see here. If we can get this open. So it's just a box. It's a lot of wasted space here, but it's just your charger in the box. So this should allow for fast charging. And like I said, they did give me the option to use this as a free accessory when I purchased it. So that part was nice. Now we have the new SmartTag, which I think is interesting, as the SmartTags are sort of the answer to Apple's AirTags that were never officially announced. So these are sort of like tiles that if you need to locate something, you can do that. Let's go ahead and open these up here. Open up the tile and take a closer look, or the SmartTag, I should say. There we go. So here is the SmartTag itself. So it says Galaxy SmartTag, of course. And then just a little bit of documentation in here with a quick start guide. So that's it. You just push the button. Now we also have these. Let's see if we can... There we go. Let's see what we can do with the SmartTag. So we click it, there's a button here, and it recognized it right away. So I clicked the button, it showed up right away, and we can add it, and it will help us locate things. So I really like that. We can add it now. It says, welcome to Smart Things, start, and, well, using the app. So you have to sign into your account to do this, but now you can locate it with Samsung's app. So it was really easy, just click it, and it shows up. So let me set those aside, and let's take a look at these Galaxy Buds Pro. So the Galaxy Buds Pro should be an improvement over last year's. There we go. Let's open it up here. Now I do like Galaxy Buds, so these should be pretty nice. And we have the Galaxy Buds themselves, and then in here we have, again, this is kind of strange because we don't have a charging cable with it, but we have USB-A to USB-C. Now, if you have a Samsung device, you probably already have something you can plug this into, but still, there's no charging cable, and it's not the same as what we have with, say, when you buy the fast charger. So now you have to get different cables. It's kind of odd that they're doing this, or different chargers for different devices. So let me set this aside, and then in here, it looks like we've got some different ear tip sizes. So included, you've got those. So if we open these up, this is very small and compact compared to the last version. Let's go ahead and turn that on here. It recognizes them right away. We'll go ahead and hit connect. Let's see what it's doing here. Oh, there we go. And it's connected. So it was that simple. The case is charged. And then, of course, we've got reverse wireless charging where we can just charge that if we wanted to use it that way. So we should have it here somewhere. So I had to search for wireless power sharing. We can go in here, turn it on, and now we should be able to charge the case with wireless power share. So there it goes. It vibrated, and you can see the light lit up. So now that it's charging. So we have that option, which is always nice there, of course. And let's take a closer look at the earbuds. So the earbuds themselves, this one says L, so it's nicely labeled, and they're a little bit different than last year. So you have a couple different things. It has a new system in the package, so it's basically a system on a chip with active noise cancellation, spatial audio, basically their own version of it, ambient sound, or basically a transparency mode, and auto device switching if you have a Samsung tablet, for example, as well as IPX7 and vents. So let me put these in my ear and see if they're comfortable at all. So now I have the Galaxy Buds Pro in my ears. We'll move over to the Galaxy Wear app, and you can see there's noise control. So I have ambient sound, active noise cancellation. It thinks both are not in my ears for some reason. So let's try it again. There we go. And now they're both in my ears. I can switch it to ambient sound, and now I can hear with the microphone. Now it's not great sounding, but I can hear with it. I can turn it off, of course, and then go to active noise cancellation. So you have those different options. Block touches, you can touch and hold to control it. So you have all of these new options, as well as the equalizer as well, and other things. So it does have a software update I'll have to do a little bit later. So they'll fit in here pretty nicely. This is nice and compact. I really like the new ones that are sort of like beans, the Galaxy Buds Live. I like those, I think, because they don't go in your ear canals, but these should be better for noise cancellation on a flight and things like that. Also, I wanted to see if there was a software update. So we'll go to software update, see if there's anything here. We'll wait for it to check, and there is a new update. So I'll have to update this, use it a little bit more, and see what that brings. But it does bring some overall stability and performance improvements, it says. So I'll let that install a little bit later. So as far as the S21 Ultra, that's it as far as the unboxing. Of course, I'll have to use it for a while before doing a full review. And if there's anything you want to see specifically, let me know in the comments below. One thing this doesn't have that I didn't mention is the tap to pay that uses the magnetic technology to actually use a magnet strip on a card reader. It doesn't have that technology anymore. And that's something that I know a lot of Samsung users really liked, where you could set up your card, your credit card, tap it on something that doesn't even have the tap to pay option, and you could use it. No longer can you do that with this one. So that's kind of sad to see that go. But I really like the phone. It feels very comfortable, and the screen wrapping around the edge isn't too much where I think you'll hit it too much when you're using it. So it's very nice. And of course, I look forward to seeing how good the battery is and testing out the camera and more. Let me know if there's anything you want to see specifically. Of course, I'll link the wallpapers in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.